Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and explore the totally extreme, frankly lethal, and completely fascinating world of base jumping and wingsuit flying. This isn't just about chasing an adrenaline rush. It's actually about a fundamental approach to human existence. We're going to get inside the minds of athletes who operate in an environment where the margin for error is literally absolute zero. We want to figure out not just what they do, but honestly, why on earth they do it. Picture this. You are standing at the absolute edge of a sheer cliff. Just look down. There's a 1,000-foot drop right below you. The wind is just howling. And you know that one wrong micro-movement means certain death. Which naturally begs the ultimate question. The one that completely baffles everyday people. Why deliberately put yourself in a lethal situation? I mean, for most of us who spend our whole lives just trying to survive, trying to avoid danger at all costs, this seems absolutely crazy. But for the athletes in this sport, well, their answer is profoundly different. See, it's not a death wish at all. It's really the absolute pursuit of perfection. Listen to how one jumper actually describes this mindset. They said, "We are deliberately putting ourselves in a lethal situation, and then we try to solve it. We feel enormous joy and mastery." So when they step off that ledge, everything else in the world just completely vanishes. For that brief, terrifying, and honestly beautiful window of time, achieving a flawless flight brings them this state of absolute bliss that they just cannot find anywhere else in life. So, moving into section 1, the ultimate paradox, surviving versus living. Right away, you can see there is a massive cultural clash going on here. Look, most of us are taught a pretty standard path, right? Go to school, get that 9-to-5 job, pay your rents or mortgage, prioritize safety, and basically build a comfortable, safe little bubble. But many base jumpers view that approach to life as totally absurd. Instead, they live out of vans, travel constantly, and prioritize absolute unfiltered freedom, even if it means embracing constant existential risk. They actively reject the bubble to live what they affectionately call the gypsy lifestyle. Which brings us to section 2, outlaws to athletes, the evolution of human flight. Human flight has always been this crazy, dangerous dream. It dates all the way back to 1912, when Franz Reichelt actually leapt from the Eiffel Tower just to test a homemade parachute. Fast forward a bit to the late 1990s, and base jumpers were literally outlaws. I mean, they were sneaking past security guards, jumping off city cranes and stadiums in the pitch black of night using modified skydiving gear, and literally running from the cops. But as the gear got safer and better, the sport transformed. By the 2000s, pioneers really pushed the boundaries into the modern elite era of wingsuit proximity flying. And that pioneer era is what gave birth to proximity flying. This is when athletes fly their wingsuits incredibly close to the terrain. We're talking skimming right over trees, diving through incredibly narrow rock crocs. As they say in the community, the golden rule is don't touch your shadow. In proximity flying, the margins for error literally shrink to zero. Because the mechanics of a jump are just absolutely unforgiving. First up is the technical exit. Those first 5 seconds, they are crucial. If a zipper pops open or your pitch is slightly off, you're dead. Second, you actually have to catch the updraft to begin flying. And third, once you're in flight, you are making terminal decisions every single microsecond. Seriously, a simple millimeter adjustment of your wrist while traveling at 120 miles per hour entirely dictates whether you safely clear a ridgeline or hit a rock wall. It's wild. All right, section 3, the gravity of love, deep bonds in the danger zone. To understand this community, consider the Turkey Boogie. It's this Thanksgiving gathering out in the vast primeval canyons of Moab, Utah. What started decades ago as just a really quiet dinner with like 8 jumping friends exploring new cliffs quickly grew to 25, then 50, and soon over 100 people. It's no longer just a holiday gathering, It's a chosen family, relying completely on each other in an environment where literally no one else outside the sport truly gets them. And this family operates on some really deep, heavy dynamics. They live a 24/7 connected lifestyle of training and traveling together. There's really no in this world. It's always just yes to the next project, the next cliff. People are getting married right at the exit points, mere feet from the edge of a precipice. But it also carries this immense emotional weight. The veterans act as elders. Mentors feel a gut-wrenching responsibility for the beginners. Think about it. They stand at the top of a mountain, giving a thumbs up and a big smile to a novice, while secretly hiding the terrifying thought that they might literally be watching their friend jump to their death. Now for section 4, the ultimate cost, inevitable consequences. We really have to talk about the physical toll because it is absolutely devastating. Take Amber, an elite athlete.
She experienced a terrifying malfunction during a world championship skydive landing. The result, a completely shattered upper femur and a dislocated spine. Just like that, in an instant, a lifelong dream of competing turns into a 10-hour, agonizing spinal surgery. The sheer violence of gravity spares absolutely no one, no matter how skilled they are.
And then, of course, there's the emotional toll. Scotty, who is an absolute pioneer in the sport, lost his best friend and mentor, Matt, on a jump they did together. The survivor's guilt he deals with is just immense. He openly admits, "I still have a small sense of guilt over it. Any way you slice it, he was following me into there." This survivor's guilt is like a dark, heavy shadow that almost every single veteran in this community carries with them every single day.
The ripple effects of a tragedy like that are just profound. It's the agonizing months of recovery in a hospital bed, literally held together by metal. It's the heartbreaking mental gymnastics that loved ones play when they hear a jumper is missing, desperately trying to stretch out the time before having to accept the finality of death. It's the chilling, absolute silence on the two-way radio after watching a friend execute what looked like a perfect exit. And it's the harsh reality of grieving collectively at memorial jumps, fully knowing that in every group photo they take, someone will inevitably be missing by next year.
There is perhaps no clearer example of this devastating reality than the loss of Jimmy Pouchard. Jimmy was the heart of the community. I mean, he literally taught an entire generation how to fly, and he essentially built the turkey boogie into what it is today. Yet despite his decades of experience and an incredibly safe track record, Jimmy died following a wingsuit jump in Moab. It was so sudden, the radio just went dead. The entire community lost a father figure in a fraction of a second.
This brings us to Section 5, A Life Fully Lived, the Philosophy of the Edge.
So incredibly, before his passing, Jimmy actually pre-recorded a message anticipating that his life might end exactly this way. He urged his friends, saying, "Don't feel sorry for me, just be happy that I lived my life how I wanted to live it." He totally owned the risk. He knew exactly what the consequences were, and he accepted them willingly, simply because the alternative, a life grounded and safe but unfulfilled, was completely unacceptable to him. Which leads us perfectly to this beautiful, incredibly raw analogy shared by Jimmy's wife, Marta. She said, "Life is not up on a shelf still in its bubble wrap. Ours is all beat up and thrown in the corner. You should use something that you cherish." It's so powerful, right? For this community, to preserve life by never taking a risk is to waste it. They firmly believe that life is a gift meant to be entirely consumed, completely scuffed up, and used to its absolute maximum capacity.
And so, I really want to leave you with this final lingering thought. Whether you're scaling a cliff in a wingsuit or just navigating your own day-to-day choices, the underlying question applies to all of us. Will you leave your life perfectly preserved in its bubble wrap, or will you risk tearing it to truly live? Take a moment to think about what bubble wrap looks like in your own life. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this gave you a completely new perspective on the true cost and the absolute true reward of flying.